Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some breaking news coming out here for you. And I want to bring another update regarding Ukraine and this war against Russia. So, yesterday I put out a video talking about the fact that Russia had taken over a large portion of a town called Oshertine. Now, it's kind of close to Avdiivka, and there's been a major breakthrough in that area from the Russian army. They somehow took over large portions of this town, and it was a major defeat to Ukraine, where they actually, as of today, we've got reports that they've had to pull back, and that's what we're going to be talking about. They've had to make a tactical retreat from that area because the Russians are starting to break through this town of Oshertime. So, in yesterday's video, what happened was there was a brigade that was holding this town, a Ukrainian brigade, and I think it was the 47th Brigade, Mechanized Brigade, and they were supposedly going to be relieved by another brigade. I think it was the 115th or something like that. They were going to come in and relieve them, and for some reason they left too early, and before this other brigade could come in and take their place. And during this exchange, the Russians found out that they were basically not occupying the city, or at least portions of it, so they launched an offensive and moved forward and took over a large portion of the city. And as of today, I think they might even have control over it. Okay, so what we're having coming out now is that Ukraine supposedly is pulling back from 3 villages as Russia continues to gain ground. That's what we're going to be talking about here. So I have a few things that we're going to be going over. Let me get this up on the screen here for you. First, we're going to have a couple X posts that we're going to go over, okay? Twitter posts, whatever you want to call it. So let's take a look at this. From the Ukrainian front, the situation at the front has worsened. This week, heavy fighting continued along the entire front line. Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Syrsky. So Oleksandr Syrsky, the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, is reporting that it's really bad, basically, apparently in this area of Oshertime, where they've broken through. And I've been talking about this for a long time as well. At some point, Russia was going to break through a weak spot of Ukraine's lines, and I think we're starting to see that. We'll see if Ukraine is able to thwart this attack. But from what it sounds like from Oleksandr Syrsky, the entire front line is beginning to collapse, or it's at least in a very dire situation. Okay, so it says here the most difficult situation is in the Prokhovsky and Kurakiv directions of Donetsk region. The enemy deployed up to 4 brigades, trying to develop an offensive west of Avdiivka and Mariinka. So they put a picture here to show, here's Oshertine right there. See, they pretty much got control over it for the most part, and they've moved back basically to other villages. They pulled back from here from Oshertine, and Avdiivka was somewhere down here, somewhere a little bit like southeast, I'd say, from Oshertine. So they've taken over so much land. I mean, this is what I was saying in yesterday's video, is that Russia may be slowly taking over Ukraine, but tactically speaking, they're doing this a little bit at a time. Each week they're taking a little bit more land, a little bit more land, a little bit more land. And now what we're starting to see is right here where this red box is at, they've broken through. As you can see, it's sticking out right here, as opposed to over here, it's relatively flat. Maybe a little bit, they're starting to make some breakthroughs here. But near Oshertine, for sure, this was a major mistake by Ukraine, and now they're going to lose lots of land. So the Ukrainians have fallen back further to tactically retreat and set up defensive positions. Okay, so once again, this is probably the second or third time in the last couple months that we've heard Ukraine having to fall back. Okay, so they definitely can't hold the line here, and obviously they're still waiting on lots of weaponry to show up to the front line, things like that. The aid package that just barely got passed, going to take time to get all this weaponry to the front line. They're not going to get it overnight. Also, just real quick here, this is from RT, okay, major Russian news channel. Situation on the front lines difficult, Ukraine's top military commander. So this is Syrsky right here. So like I said, very difficult situation for them right now. We've been hearing this for, I don't know, well over a month, maybe 2 months now, that Syrsky's come out and said that the situation at the front line was basically in bad shape. Okay, so yeah, again, I want to report this and let you know what's going on over here, because Ukraine, even though they're getting these supplies from the West right now, their front line could still collapse. Okay, they're still weak at the moment. They don't have a lot of air defense. They're short on a lot of supplies, a lot of artillery, and things like that. They're still, from what we're hearing, they're still outnumbered and outgunned. Okay, so they can only hold the line for so long. And let's go ahead and read about this and find out some more information. So from the Kiev Independent says Sursky, so Alexander Sursky, this gentleman here, Ukrainian forces retreat from three villages in Donetsk Oblast. So Donetsk has been an area that's been under attack quite a bit, and it doesn't surprise me that we're seeing a breakthrough in this region too, because this is where mainly the front line has been. There's been so much pressure on the Ukrainian military there. We've done lots of reports talking about this region, so really doesn't surprise me that they're struggling here. Ukrainian troops have retreated west from the villages of Berdichi, Semenivka, and Mikhailivka in Donetsk Oblast. The commander-in-chief of Ukraine's armed forces, Oleksandr Syrsky, said on April 28th. Okay, so Berdichi, Semenivka, and Mikhailivka villages are located in the Pokrovsk district in the western part of Ukraine's Donetsk Oblast, which remains one of the hottest sectors of the front line as Russia continues its offensive. The Kortitsia group of Ukraine's ground forces reported on April 27th that the Russian forces managed to break in and gain a foothold in part of Oshertine. That's what we were just talking about, the video I did yesterday. A frontline village nearly 10 kilometers from Berdichi and Semenivka. So look at how quickly the front line is collapsing over here. And I mentioned this a while back too, 2 months ago, I want to say, when Ukraine was not getting their supplies. And there was this aid package held up in Congress for, what was it, like 2 or 3 months, something like that. And I was telling all of you that the front line was going to start to collapse very quickly, and it just took a couple of months for them to completely run out of supplies in there. And look at the situation now; it's completely falling apart for them. Whereas before, when they had lots of supplies continuously coming in from the west, they were okay. So now they're struggling. So we'll see if this support coming to the front line will be able to help them and thwart this attack. So Syrsky described the situation in the Pokrovsk, and Kurakov sectors as the most difficult one now. According to the commander-in-chief, Russia's involving up to 4 brigades from 8,000 to 32,000 personnel to conduct assault operations in the direction of the cities of Pokrovsk and Kurakov west of Avdiivka, which was captured in February. So look at 8 to 32,000. That's insane. Imagine 32,000 strong military just rushing in one area, and Ukraine could maybe have half of that or something. They might only have 5 or 10,000 supporting this area, because we know they're outgunned and outnumbered as well. So 32,000 strong military that has much more advanced weapons too. When right now Ukraine doesn't have a lot of stuff, just in terms of artillery, let's say, when they don't have a lot of artillery and Russia's got tons of artillery, it's going to be very difficult for them to hold their ground. So in general, the enemy has succeeded, tactically in these directions, but has failed to achieve an operational advantage, Syrsky said in a statement shared on Facebook and Telegram, adding that Ukraine will do unit rotations in the sector of the front. Syrsky stressed that Russian troops are attacking throughout the entire front line. Look at that, entire front line. The situation is changing dynamically. So are we starting to see that summer or spring offensive? It looks like we might be starting to see that right now. Russian forces continue their offensive operations in the directions of Kupiansk and Liman, settlements in Kharkiv Oblast, as well as Seversk, Sloviansk, and Kramatorsk sectors in Donetsk Oblast, according to the commander-in-chief. Syrsky said that the situation in the south also remains intense as Russia tries to advance near the village of Kriniki in Kherson Oblast. Robotine and Verbo villages in Zaporizhia Oblast, and Staromayorsk in Donetsk Oblast. Man, these are really hard to pronounce if you don't speak their language. So, yeah, guys, it's definitely not looking good for Ukraine, and we'll see again if they're able to, get this support from the West here sometime soon and slow down this attack. But we've also had reports. I just did some report coverage the other day that Russia was targeting Ukraine's train stations. Okay, and if you haven't seen that, go on my page and go watch that video because they're targeting multiple train stations, mainly in eastern Ukraine, to slow down this aid coming from the west. Okay, because they're starting to transfer like tanks and weaponry and all kinds of stuff over to Ukraine right now, and Russia's bombing all their train stations to try to put a stop to that. So it kind of makes sense with what we're seeing right now. We're seeing an offensive start to build up from Russia, and they're starting to mass troops in areas where they see they're starting to break through, like near Oshertine. They're taking advantage of the weakness of Ukraine right now while they don't have this weaponry. And we're going to see them really ramp up their operations and start attacking heavily. I think that's what we're going to see here. So that's going to be it for this update, though. I just wanted to let you know what's going on over here, but it's not looking good for Ukraine. They're in even a worse position than they were just a few months ago before they even got this aid package. So hopefully this aid package will help them out, but it's looking like, at least at the moment, it's not doing much to stop this attack. So let me know what you think down below. Share your thoughts and concerns and opinions down in the comment section. If you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. And also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.